Yo, what's up guys, it's King Sean here, back with another video, and in today's video, I'll be bringing you guys my post-combine Washington Commanders 7-round mock draft. This will be mock draft 4.0 of the 2024 offseason. This is going to be an in-depth mock draft, meaning I'll be talking about each player's descriptions, height, weight, and their strength and weaknesses. So, if you guys are new to my channel, leave a like down below, subscribe, turn on notifications. I'm on the road to 3K subs. If you could hit that sub button, I'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's get straight into the video. Alright, so in round one, with the second overall pick, I have us taking quarterback Drake Maye. And after the combine, I feel more and more confident. Now, it's not finalized yet. We still don't know for sure who we're going to take at 2. But after the combine, it feels like it's going to be Drake Maye, like according to multiple sources, reporters on like the radio and whatnot. I think Dan Quinn talked about Jayden Daniels a bit and Drake Maye on the radio as well. I think it was 106.7 The Fan. I could be wrong though, but I did hear him talk about Jayden Daniels and Drake Maye. He had a lot of praise for Jayden Daniels, but I feel like I heard a lot more reports that said, Drake Maye to the Commanders, it's more likely to happen than Jayden Daniels to the Commanders, at least right now. And y'all know me, I personally prefer Drake Maye. That's nothing against Jayden Daniels. I just feel like Drake Maye is the better prospect. Like I said multiple times in my videos in the past, I don't care who we pick at 2. As long as we get the pick right between Drake Maye and Jayden Daniels, I'll be A-okay. So let's go through Drake Maye's strengths and weaknesses. Obviously, he has prototypical size for a quarterback. He actually measured in at 6'4", 223 pounds in the combine, so a little lighter than expected, but 223 pounds, that is still solid. Some of his strengths, obviously the prototypical size, has a really big arm, really good athleticism, and can push the ball outside the numbers, so it can push the ball towards the sideline to his receivers, which is really, really good. That's going to be very helpful. That's going to be very useful in the NFL, of course. And then some of his weaknesses, I kind of see this in every scouting report throughout all websites and reporters and analysts. He does need to work on a bit of his footwork, and he fell off a bit towards the 2023 season. Well, towards the end of the 2023 season, like from like mid-season to the end of the season, which, to be honest, I don't think he had like a significant drop-off. I mean, he was a little worse than, the first side of the season, but I don't think he was like terrible. I mean, that UNC's defense was pretty bad. They were allowing like 30, 35 points a game. I'm pretty sure they allowed like 45 points against Georgia Tech, which is absolutely insane. Even in 2022, though, Drake Maye had a bit of a slump towards the end of the season, but it wasn't as bad as 2023. He was really good overall in 2023, but 2022, sorry. But this past 2023 season, he kind of ended the season off a bit slow, but I don't see that as enough for me to pass up on Drake Maye at 2. He's an excellent quarterback. He has a big arm. He has solid accuracy. Some people say he doesn't have the greatest accuracy. I think he has pretty solid accuracy, especially towards the middle of the field. He has great accuracy towards the middle of the field. So, Drake Maye overall really good quarterback. Nothing really much to say because I've had him in my past mock drafts, and overall really like Drake Maye. Right now, I would probably predict that we're still gonna go Jayden Daniels, but Drake Maye, he will be a really good pick for us at number 2 overall. With our second overall pick, pick 36, I have us selecting tackle Jordan Morgan. And I've honestly seen some mock drafts where Jordan Morgan has gone like late first round, like to teams like the Cowboys or the Chiefs. But I do have a feeling that he could potentially fall to our pick, number 36. Or maybe he's not there. Maybe he goes to a team like the Panthers, the Cardinals, just a team that's picking ahead of us and not at 36. But Jordan Morgan, I love Jordan Morgan. He's one of my favorite tackle prospects in this draft. I love this tackle draft, first of all. I mean, we got Telis Fuaga, Olu Fashanu, Joe All, Amarius Mims, who had an outstanding combine. I mean, I'm pretty sure he pulled his hamstring as well. He tweaked his hamstring a little bit. His measurables were off the chart. I think he was like 6'7" or 6'8", 340 pounds, 86-inch wingspan. I mean, his measurements was absolutely insane. But Jordan Morgan, he's still really solid. He has great power. His combine measurements, he stands at 6'5", 311 pounds, 10-inch hands. He actually has only a 32 and 7/8 inch arm, which is actually shorter than Amarius Mims, shorter than a couple tackles actually. So his arm length is a little shorter, but I don't think that should affect him a bit too much. Well, when I get to his strengths and weaknesses, that should affect him a little bit in the NFL. but that shouldn't affect him way too much. His wingspan is 81 inches. His strengths and weaknesses: he has really solid grip strength, has good feel for the depth of the pocket, and is very athletic in the lower half of his body. Some of his weaknesses include he does not have elite arm strength, like I said, only 32-inch arms. Defenders can stab at him easily in the run game, and he's a bit inconsistent at balance at times, but I feel like the balance issue he can fix right away in the NFL. Obviously, Bobby Johnson, we hired him this offseason. Not a huge fan of the hire, but I'm going to trust Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. They obviously see something in him, but right now I'm just not a big fan of the hire. But overall, man, Jordan Morgan, really love him as a tackle prospect. It was either him or the BYU tackle. Honestly, there's two BYU tackles in this draft class. I honestly forgot the name of the other one. I want to say his last name started with a K. Could be wrong though, but he looks really good as well. I think he can play left tackle, so he's another option at 36. But I think I prefer Jordan Morgan over him. There's another guy in Tyler Guyton as well. He's a right tackle out of Oklahoma, but I feel like he's going to go in the first round now, especially after his combine. He had a pretty solid combine with very, very good measurements. But overall, Jordan Morgan, like I said, really good tackle prospect. And if we were to sign a guy like Tyron Smith, or we don't even have to sign a guy like Tyron Smith, Jordan Morgan, he can immediately come in and start at the left tackle position. Or if we do decide to sign Tyron Smith or vet tackle, Jordan Morgan can sit behind them for like a year or two, learn behind them, and when he's ready, he gets his name called up, and he's going to be ready to go. So Jordan Morgan, overall, very, very good tackle prospect, and a good prospect, good player for us to select at number 36. With our second round pick 40 overall, I have us taking wide receiver Xavier Legette. And Xavier Legette is one of my favorite day 2 wide receiver prospects. He is elite, in my opinion, at his yards after catch ability. He's 6'1", 221 pounds. He actually was listed as 6'3" at South Carolina, and at the same weight. But at the Combine and Senior Bowl, he was only 6'1", which isn't really a problem because he can still attack the ball in the air pretty well. Some of his strengths include has elite yards after catch ability, like I said, great at using his size in one-on-one battles, and has very powerful hands. And those powerful hands and, his size help him, with the one-on-one battles and going up and getting the ball in the air. Some of his weaknesses he has some poor footwork at the line of scrimmage. Doesn't break as many tackles as you'd expect him to, especially for his size, 6'1", 221 pounds. Obviously was listed as 6'3" at South Carolina, but doesn't break as many tackles as you want him to. Doesn't have amazing change of direction ability in open field. So I don't think those are really like big problems. I mean, the footwork issue, that can definitely be coached up, especially with Bobby Ingram. He is a wide receiver favorite among the wide receiver room. A very likable coach in the Commanders coaching staff. So I have no doubt if we were to draft Xavier Legette, Bobby Ingram, he would definitely get Xavier Legette to fix that issue of his. The breaking tackles thing, that isn't a huge issue because if you look at a wide receiver like A.J. Brown, Xavier Legette, you can kind of compare it to A.J. Brown because they have similar sizes. They're both 6'1", which is actually really, I thought A.J. Brown was like 6'2" or 6'3", but it's actually only 6'1", so not as big as y'all may have figured him to be. So the size, they are pretty comparable with size. And Xavier Legette ran a faster 40 than him. I think Xavier Legette ran like a 4.41 or a 4.39. So he has elite speed, elite yak ability. Overall, a very, very good wide receiver prospect. And we need to draft. This wide receiver class is absolutely stacked, man. I would be very, very disappointed in Adam Peters and the Commanders if we did not draft a wide receiver in at least the first 2 or 3 rounds, because wide receiver is a need for us. I mean, Curtis Samuel, we're probably not going to resign him. I mean, we might, but I'd assume we probably won't. We would just probably let him go, which is okay because there's better options in the draft like Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Legette, like I mentioned, Jalen Polk. Cheaper options, yet can have the same, playing level or even better playing level than Curtis Samuel. So Xavier Legette would love the pick at number 40 overall. Next up, with our first round 3 pick number 67 overall, linebacker Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is probably my 3rd favorite linebacker in this draft. It's number 1, Edgerrin Cooper, number 2, Peyton Wilson, and number 3, him. Trotter, he is very, very good in coverage, and like y'all know, we have been horrible in coverage covering tight ends over the past couple of years now, ever since Ron, even before Ron's been here, really. I mean, we've just been horrible covering tight ends. I mean, even when we brought in Jamin Davis, he was pretty good in coverage at Kentucky, but he didn't fix the issue now. In his first year, obviously, Ron didn't play him at Mike linebacker, which is not his typical role at Kentucky. He usually played Sam or Will, not Mike. He usually played on the weak side, so Mike linebacker just wasn't a good fit for him. So, in our last average coverage linebacker was Cole Okami. Even him, he would get lost in coverage sometimes. So Jeremiah Trotter Jr., if we were to draft him, he'd come in here and bolster that linebacker core, and especially in coverage, when our linebackers are in coverage, immensely. And with Kent Norton Jr. as our linebacker coach, I feel like Kent Norton Jr., along with Joe Wood Jr., obviously as a defensive coordinator, and Dan Quinn, they can bring out the best in Jeremiah Trotter. He's 6 foot, 230 pounds, so a little bit smaller size, 6 foot, but that's still pretty solid. Some of his traits include has very impressive core strength, especially for his size, obviously 6 foot, 230 pounds, has great football IQ, and is excellent and has excellent coverage skills, like I mentioned before. Some of his weaknesses include he struggles to hold his ground when taking on O-linemen and has a bit of a weak base against the run. So struggles against, holding his ground against offensive linemen. Maybe when you're coming up a blitz off the edge or up the middle, an O-lineman can easily get his hands on him and, block him out of the whole entire play, which could be a bit of an issue, but you're going up against a 300-plus pound man, so pretty hard, but he could build some of that strength up when, pass rushing. If he does, though, because I heard like Jamin Davis, Dan Quinn is going to give him the opportunity to rush on the edge, off the edge, which Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio, they should have been doing way before this year. I mean, Jamin Davis, he's not a Mike linebacker. He's best on the weak side. And, JDR and Ron Rivera, they didn't realize that until year 2, year 3 of his career, which is unfortunate. 1 or 2 years ago, that's just unfortunate. So I'm glad that Dan Quinn, he's coming in here and shaking things up for Jamin Davis a bit. But back on track to Jeremiah Trotter Jr., I love Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Really, I feel like he could go earlier in the than the third round. Really, maybe like late round 2, mid round 2. But right now the projections are having him at round 3, and I got him at 67 overall in PFF Mock Draft Simulator. So I took him there, and he will be a great pick for us because our linebacker core ain't looking so good right now. I feel like we're going to upgrade that by signing a few in free agency. And we're definitely going to draft one in the draft, maybe even 2. But we're definitely going to draft at least 1 linebacker. And I feel like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in the second round. Maybe Peyton Wilson or Edrin Cooper at pick 40 in round 2. But I feel like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. at 67 will be one of our best options to address linebacker in the draft. In round 3, pick 100 overall with our second round 3 pick, obviously, I have a selecting cornerback Renardo Green out of Florida State. Man, I've really enjoyed watching some of his tape over the past couple of days, ever since the combine ended. He's really good. First off, he's really fast. He ran a 4.38 at the combine. He looked very impressive in the on-field drills at the combine. He just had a very good day at the combine when cornerbacks did work out. Let me go over his strengths and weaknesses real quick. He's 6 foot, 186 pounds, so he has average size for a cornerback. He could add on a little bit more pounds when he goes to the NFL. But I don't think his size should be much of an issue. Some of his strengths include he played very well against top wide receivers in the draft, Malik Nabers and Brian Thomas Jr. I'm pretty sure it was week 1 of the 2023 season. They also faced off in 2022, but pretty sure it was this past season where he held his ground against those 2 guys. And those 2 guys are going to go top 10 and top 20 respectively in the first round of the NFL draft. So the fact that he was able, and even some people have been debating, Malik Nabers is going to be the best wide receiver in the draft and could potentially be drafted ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. I disagree with that. I don't think that's going to happen. But Malik Nabers, he's very talented, as well as Brian Thomas Jr., who's projected to be a top 20 pick in the draft, or at the very least going round 1. Would love if we were able to trade back into the first round and try and get him. If we were to draft Jaden Daniels, we'll see though. Those are just dreams. But let me read off his strengths real quick. Obviously played well against Malik Nabers and Brian Thomas. He's very reliable as a run defender, which we don't have a lot of great run defending cornerbacks. I mean, Kendall Fuller, he was pretty good. Quan Murray, he was solid. Emmanuel Forbes wasn't great at tackling. I mean, against the Bears, DJ Moore was breaking all them tackles against him. So we don't have a lot of great tackling, guys on the secondary. So Renardo Green, he would add some depth there at that role, obviously. And he has excellent change of direction downfield. Some weaknesses, he's very physical, and that's a good thing. However, he may not be able to get it with his physicality all the time in the NFL because he could get a little too grabby here and there, and he could get called for, pass interference here or there. So he does need to watch out for that. But overall, I love how physical he is. I feel like he should keep being physical unless, it gets to the point where he's too physical and he gets called out for it. He also has average size for a quarterback, like I said, which isn't bad size, but like I said, he could add on a few more pounds in the NFL if he wishes to. But overall, Renardo Green, he would be a very, very, very solid pick for the Commanders. We need all the secondary help we can get. I mean, this secondary help our secondary is absolutely depleted, and adding Renardo Green to the group, he would definitely bolster our secondary a lot. All right, next up, round 4, pick 103 overall, running back Bucky Irving. You already know it. Bucky Irving is my favorite running back prospect in this entire draft. I'm honestly surprised he isn't projected to go, earlier in the draft, maybe late round 2, early round 3, but he's projected to go late round 3, mid to late round 3, early round 4. And after the combine he had, it wasn't horrible. He did run a 4.56, so that could tank his draft stock a little bit, although, 40-yard dash really isn't as important as game speed, because obviously 40-yard dash, you're running in tank tops, you're not running with any pads on. Game speed is a lot more different, and you can see it on film, you can see it on tape. Bucky Irving, he is a lot more faster in game. Even if you're watching games, just not film in general, if you're just watching games in general, you can see Bucky Irving, he's really fast, and when he speeds up, he can't slow down, which could be a weakness that I'll address in a second. But he's 5'9", 192 pounds, solid size for a scat back like him. He's a scat back, explosive back, which is what we need. I mean, Brian Robinson, he's really good as a power back. He can fight for those extra yards. But Bucky Irving is the type of back we need: a third down back, a receiving back, an explosive back, which we haven't had in a minute. Well, since J.D. McKissick, you could say, but even Chris Thompson back in 2017, 2018, so you could argue that. But Bucky Irving, his strengths: he has a great burst, speed, and overall acceleration. Like I said, he only has one fumble in his entire collegiate career, so he rarely fumbles the ball, which is a very good thing. He's very impressive as a pass catcher. Some of his weaknesses, though, include he doesn't have the ideal size to take on big collisions. So his size isn't bad, but say he's trying to block a linebacker that's blitzing through the middle or off the edge, that linebacker could possibly run him over and get to the quarterback for a quick takedown. So, the size could matter a little bit when taking on linebackers or any guys rushing the quarterback from the middle who are trying to take on him. But we'll see about that. Hopefully, I honestly forgot who our running back coach. Oh, Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn, one of the best. He's an amazing running back coach. First of all, he developed Austin Eckler, CMC with the Niners. I mean, he's an excellent running back coach, so I have no doubt that he will get Bucky Irving up to speed with how the NFL works when blocking for his QB. He struggles to slow down when speeding up, which, speeding up, that's really good. He has amazing acceleration, but struggling to slow down while speeding up, that could cause some fumbles maybe, although he only had one fumble in his collegiate career, so I don't think that will be a huge issue. And he also needs to improve protection techniques when dealing with blitzes, like I said, when he's, dealing with an edge off the edge blitzes by a DB, a cornerback or safety, or up from the middle by a DB or linebacker. He does need to improve his protection techniques, but I feel like that's something Anthony Lynn will do a good job coaching him up to get up to speed with how the NFL works with protection techniques. So overall, Bucky Irving, I love him. If he was there at pick 101 or 103, I would quickly pounce on him and draft him, run to the podium, and say his name. Bucky Irving, 103 overall pick to the Commanders. So that's Bucky Irving. Now on to the next player. In round 5, pick 137 overall, I have selecting tight end Ben Sinnott out of Kansas State. And Ben Sinnott is one of my favorite tight end prospects in this draft class. And this tight end draft class is pretty weak. I mean, after Brock Bowers, who's going to be taken in like the top 8, top 10 of the NFL draft, there's a huge drop off. I mean, the next tight end that's going to be taken is most likely JT Sanders, and he's projected to go early second to mid second round. And then after him, I mean, we don't know who's going to be taken next. I mean, Ben Sinnott, Theo Johnson, Cade Stover. So it's a mystery after JT Sanders or even Brock Bowers. But Ben Sinnott, if he's there in the 5th round, I feel like he could go 4th round, not going to lie. But if he's there in the 5th round, I think the Commanders should definitely take him, especially after signing Zach Ertz. Obviously, Zach Ertz, pretty good signing. He's going to be a vet in the room. Whatever tight end we bring in the draft, he's going to groom that tight end. He's going to be a leader for that tight end and the whole team as well. But Ben Sinnott, I really like him a lot. He's 6'4", 250 pounds. Didn't really notice a lot of him at the combine. His strengths, he has good speed and agility to run routes. He's light on his feet, has great feel for angles as positional blocker, and has solid run after catch ability. So that's all very good right there. Some of the weaknesses he got is needs to drop his pad level a little bit in the NFL. He has below average grip and fails to fill up run blocks with not a lot of force. So the pad level he can easily fix as well as the grip, but I feel like fails to fill up run blocks. With not a lot of force. That's not something he needs to work on because obviously blocking is what tight ends need to do, blocking and catching the ball. So run blocking is something he needs to improve on a bit more in the NFL, but I feel like he will. He's not a bad pass blocker, but run blocking is definitely somewhere he needs to improve on more in the league, which I think he will do. I honestly forgot who our tight end coach is. Have to search that up again. But overall, Ben Sinnott, he would be a really good pick for us here at pick 137. Next up, round 6, pick 181 overall, edge rusher Myles Cole out of Texas Tech. And Myles Cole, he had one of the best combine performances this year out of anyone who even participated in the combine. This guy had a 9.96 RAS score, which is insane, a 35 vertical and a 10-inch broad jump, unbelievable. His 40-yard dash time was 4.87. Actually, it was a 4.67, which is really freaking good for an edge rusher. Let me just go off his strengths and weaknesses first of all, because before the combine, I actually didn't know much about Myles Cole at all. I didn't know he was an edge rusher out of Texas Tech, but didn't know about his strengths or weaknesses. But I dove into him a little bit, and he looks pretty good. I mean, he's 6'6", 278 pounds. Some of his strengths include really elite. He has elite length, first of all, like really elite length. Let me see if I can find it here. I can't find his length on the RAS score, but I do know he has elite length. He has very good first step quickness. He has very active hands against the offensive lineman he is matched up against, which is all very good. Some of his weaknesses include he didn't have amazing protection throughout his collegiate career, which NFL teams could look out and be like, you didn't have great production, so are you sure you're going to produce with our team? But I feel like that should be no issue for him in the league. He takes some time for him to find his acceleration after changing direction on the field. So say he fakes it out, he goes in towards the quarterback. He could take some time to find his acceleration once going back in, which, that's something he can fix in the NFL. But I feel like a guy like Ryan Kerrigan, who's our assistant linebacker coach, he could mentor him a little bit, give him some tips about how to fix that little issue. So I don't think that should be a huge issue for him in the NFL. But overall, Myles Cole, and I even saw a projection before the combine. He was projected to go like round 7 or round 6. Now he's projected to maybe go round 5 or round 4. Now I do have him in round 6, but I wouldn't be surprised if he went like round 5 or round 4 because of how good his combine was. Like, he dominated the combine. A 9.96 RAS score. He is super, super athletic, and I wouldn't be surprised if a team went him in round 4 or round 5. But if he is there in round 6, I would not mind the Commanders taking him at all. All right, so last up, I got Damani Richardson, safety out of Texas A&M in the round 7, pick 220 overall. He's actually a pretty solid safety. Now, he didn't have the best combine in the world. He actually ran like a 4.6 flat, which is a bit slow, but he did look good on the field during on-the-field workouts. But overall, he's not bad. I mean, his strengths, first off, he's 6'1.5", 210 pounds. Some of his strengths are he has a lot of experience as he was a 5-year starter at Texas A&M. He will and is very solid on special teams. He will contribute to special teams a whole lot when he enters into the NFL. He has good straight line build-up speed. Some of his weaknesses is he lacks instant acceleration, has some missing instincts for his play speed, and takes a bit of weird angles downfield in run support. So he does need to work on his angles because taking angles when you're chasing someone downfield is very important, as well as instant acceleration. And he does need to improve his instincts a bit. But I feel like, guys like Joe Witt Jr. and our DB's coach, I'm pretty sure he was from the Chargers last year, they could help him and develop him into a pretty solid safety who can contribute this team in a pretty instantly in a pretty effective way as well. He will contribute to special teams right away, though. Any team he goes to, really. So that's one area where we could plug him in and start him right away is in special teams. So that'll be good for him. Overall, Zamani Richardson, he would be a solid pick for us in the 7th round. And that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like down below, subscribe, turn on notifications, comment down below. What are y'all thoughts on my mock draft? Which part of the mock draft do you like, and which part of the mock draft you didn't like? And other than that, it's been King Sean, and I'm out. Peace.